D.C. thought they were safe. They thought the files were buried. But today, Senator John Kennedy didn't just walk into a hearing, he walked into a crime scene with a sledgehammer. Washington is currently in a state of total panic. For 25 years, these secrets were hidden from you, the taxpayer. But in the next few minutes, you are going to see a masterclass in accountability as Kennedy tears down the jargon and exposes the betrayal. If you believe the system is rigged and Kennedy is the only one fighting back, hit that subscribe button right now, because the game is officially over. Let's look at the evidence. The silence that followed.
Secretary Telle, you just moved $1.4 billion out of other projects to the Everglades. Who told you to do that?
Chairman Kennedy, thank you for the question. The law that included that for which those funds were derived gave the Army the flexibility to reallocate funds, and in many cases, these projects were appropriated.
Who told you to do that?
The law gave us flexibility to.
You did that on your own? That's your testimony?
We followed the notification procedures that were required under that law.
Yeah, but you made that decision.
Yes, sir, I did.
And nobody told you to do it?
No, sir.
Okay. Where'd you get that 1.4? And you're asking for more money now for the Everglades, is that right?
Well, Senator, there's $46 billion.
Are you asking for more money now? For
the President's budget includes $446 million for Everglades restoration. That's correct, sir.
In addition to the $1.4 billion that you just took out of other projects?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. What projects did you take that $1.4 billion for the Everglades out of?
Senator, I'd have to get back to you on the sources.
You don't remember?
There's multiple. There are multiple sources, but
yeah,
the sources were
which ones?
They were from past acts like the Infrastructure and Job Creation Act, the BBA 18, and DRSA.
You took it out of the West Shore project in Louisiana, didn't you?
No, sir.
You took it out of the Lake Pontchartrain project in Louisiana, didn't you?
No, sir. That project is underway.
You took it out of the Comite project in Louisiana, didn't you?
No, sir, I did not.
You took it out of a project in East Baton Rouge Parish, didn't you?
No, sir.
How about the Grand Isle project?
No, sir. That
You're
project.
telling me you didn't take any money out of these at anybody's instruction to spend on the Everglades while you're asking for even more Everglades money in the current budget?
Senator, the projects that you just listed in Louisiana are all on track. Those are great projects. We've been working to deliver those.
So your testimony is that you, on your own, nobody told you to do it. You took money out of these projects, but they're still on course to spend extra money in the Everglades. Is that your testimony, Mr. Secretary?
No, sir. That is not my testimony.
Okay. Tell me what your testimony is then.
There are aged funds throughout, the $46 billion total in aged funds, some of them more than 10 years old. This is a disgrace. I mean, we have $46 billion that Congress has provided to us that we haven't found the ability to execute. There are other projects that do have the ability to execute. And when we have aged funds that can be applied to something that will save lives and protect critical ecosystem restoration projects, those are things that where we use the authorities that have been provided.
I'm going to come back to this, but I'm you know, God gave me the right to remain silent, but not the ability. You know, I have protected you and the Corps every step of the way up here. I have defended the Corps when some of my colleagues wanted to dog cuss you and change you, and I have defended you. But I don't understand this moving money to the Everglades. And we're going to have a prayer session about that. You want to talk about how best to make the Corps efficient? Tell us the truth. I don't believe you did this alone, Mr. Secretary. I think somebody told you to do it.
Mr. Chairman, we'll be happy to.
Wait a minute, Mr. Secretary, I'm talking. I want to know who it was, and I want to know why you did it. And I don't believe you that this money didn't come out of somebody's hide. Okay? You can't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. That's how I feel. Those are my questions for now, but I'll have others. Madam Vice Chair, do you have some?
I do. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The senator from Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're not in a quorum call, are we?
We are not.
Mr. President, we both know that there are people in Washington who like to muddy the water to make it look deep. They don't want the American people to know the truth. Because for these people to which I'm referring, truth is a concept that does not interest them. Politics does. Now, there's been a lot of controversy in and around the United States Senate for the last 2 weeks. If we're honest with ourselves, we have to admit that the Senate has been functioning like a broken arm with the bone sticking out. That's not anybody's fault, in my judgment, on my side of the aisle. It's certainly not the majority leader's fault. So I want to try to refocus us on the issue. I don't really want to talk about the ballroom or the anti-weaponization fund or any of the myriad of issues that my Democratic friends have tried to inject into our discussion. I want to talk about the issue. And the issue is this: are we going to fund the Department of Homeland Security or are we not? Part of DHS, as we call it, as you know, Mr. President, is funded. But a very important part is not. The Border Patrol and ICE. We're paying them as best we can out of another pool of funds that's about to run out of money. Why are they not funded? Because my Democratic colleagues have refused. At one point, my Democratic friends agreed to fund Border Patrol and ICE. And then they changed their mind. And they said, no, we're not going to do it. Which forced Republicans, if we want to see that portion of DHS funded, to proceed under what we call reconciliation, where we don't need Democratic votes. I regret that that's the case, but we're doing what we have to do. Why are we having this controversy? I don't get it completely. I don't. Unless you're industrial strength stupid, you know that illegal immigration is illegal. And that's what our Border Patrol agents and ICE agents do. They enforce the law. And we have a problem with respect to immigration. During the Biden administration, with the encouragement of some, not all, but with the encouragement of some, but not all, Democrats, opened the borders. They said, come on in. And about 8 to 12 million, some say 20 million people did. Some of them were good people and are good people. They're still breaking the law. Some of them who are here are not. They're rapists, and they're murderers, and they're sex traffickers, and they're drug dealers, and they're pedophiles. We don't know which is which. We don't know where they are. And it falls to the responsibility of the Department of Homeland Security, in part through Border Patrol and ICE, to find out. Now, why did this happen? why do we now need Border Patrol and ICE more than ever? You know, I've thought about that a lot. It could be just pure, plain, vanilla incompetence. It could be that the people that President Biden put in charge of immigration and securing the border were not qualified to play dead in a Western movie. It also could be and could have been intentional. I think some of my Democratic friends, not all of them, I'm talking the Plattner wing of the Democratic Party, the Mayor Mamdani wing of the Democratic Party, the Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez wing of the Democratic Party, the wing of the Democratic Party that's in control. Some of them believe that vetting people at the border is racist. They do. Doesn't matter that every other country in the world vets people at their borders. These members of the, whatever you want to call it, progressive wing, loon wing, Woketopus wing, whatever you want to call that wing of the Democratic Party, they think that vetting people at the border is racist. There are other folks who support open borders for political reasons. I think they honestly think that if they admit a bunch of people into America in violation of the immigration laws or not, that it's a rich source of potential voters. We're not supposed to say that, but I really do believe that. Not much happens around here that doesn't have a political bent to it. But regardless, we have a problem. And that's what we have to deal with. And that's what we're going to be voting on, I hope, in the next couple of days. If you disagree with the law, this is America. You're entitled to disagree with it. I get it. Try to change it. Go change it. But you can't just ignore our immigration laws. They're not some second-tier statutes that you can ignore without consequence, that you can ignore when you think it's convenient. They're the law, and we have to enforce the law. And more to the point, we have to clean up the mess that President Biden and some of my Democratic colleagues in the Plattner wing, the Ocasio-Cortez wing, the Mamdani wing, whatever you want to call those Democrats who believe it, created. And find more to even to that point, we have to have Border Patrol or Border Patrol and ICE officers to do it. We have to. The other point I would make, we see the pushback by this wing of my Democratic friends' party. We see what's going on in New Jersey. It's despicable. Look, you have the right to protest. That's as American as the NFL or baseball. You have the right to protest. You don't have the right to protest violently. And what we've seen at the Delaney Hall Detention Center, we've seen ICE officers and some Border Patrol officers. We've seen the protesters cursing at them and spitting at them and threatening their families and hitting them and scratching them and biting them and blocking ingress and egress in and out of the detention center. They're breaking the law. And they've been arrested. I think the Border Patrol and ICE and the state law enforcement officials in New Jersey have showed a lot of restraint. But what the protesters did, not all of them, was illegal. It was illegal. You can't hit a cop just because you don't like him. And here's a free tip. I know you know this, Mr. President. Most Border Patrol agents, most ICE agents, most cops, they will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. But if you do illegal stuff, they're going to enforce the law. So let me end as I began. We need to vote to fund Border Patrol and ICE. These men and women are running out of money. I am sorry that my Democratic colleagues have taken the position that they want to defund ICE. They have every right to believe that. I'm sorry that they have taken the position they want to defund the Border Patrol. My Democratic friends have every right to believe that. But they're wrong. I have the right to my opinion. And if they don't want to fund them, they need to go change the immigration laws. Until then, we've got to enforce them. And we're going to have the chance here in the next couple of days. And all we're going to be voting on, you're going to see all kind of amendments and talking about everything in the world. All we will be voting on. Do we or do we not want to fund Border Patrol and ICE? Do we or do we not want to enforce America's immigration laws in accordance with due process and the rule of law? And that's the issue that's going to be before us. And I'm ready to saddle up and ride. I'm ready to get to it. I'm tired of all the rhetoric and the tangential issues, and I'm tired of all that. Let's get after it. Let's do the right thing. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now, Mr. President. Yield the floor? I yield the floor.
So Mississippi, Louisiana, and Missouri actually have higher firearm death rates. Obviously, there's certain...
What about Chicago?
So I don't live in Chicago. It's not my primary area of research.
You don't have an opinion on that?
I think there's easy access to firearms combined with environmental conditions, lack of great education. There have actually been studies showing that when you green vacant lots and repair abandoned buildings in urban neighborhoods, you see decreases in gunshots, in violence, as well as in stress and depression in the neighborhoods around them.
No disrespect, Doc, but that sounds a lot like word salad to me.
I am a board-certified emergency physician and dean of the Yale School of Public Health. I've spent nearly 20 years working as an emergency physician in a top-tier trauma center. Here in the U.S., treating firearm injuries is a routine part of emergency medicine. During our training, we learn how to identify who must go right to an operating room, how to crack the chest of someone who's bleeding out, and how to notify family members of a death. While in training, though, we rarely, if ever, learn to ask what could be done to prevent a gunshot wound in the first place. That changed for me about 15 years ago, after I cared for a young man, the son of a first responder, who had shot himself with his parents' firearm. He was the first patient I'd cared for who had intentionally shot himself. I couldn't save him, but he changed my perspective on gun violence. First, his death drove me to learn more about firearm suicide, to realize that in the emergency department, we rarely saw suicide attempts from a gun, not because they were rare, but because they were so often fatal. Second, his death led me to question why we didn't think about gunshot wounds the same way we think about drunk driving or heart disease, as something we can and should prevent. Most disturbingly, I noticed the difference in how my colleagues responded to this suicide compared to the everyday toll of community gun violence. Since that case, I have treated people for every type of firearm injury, from domestic violence to victims of drive-bys. I've saved some lives, but not all, and have informed countless families of the loss of their loved ones. And it is because I have had a front row seat to our nation's growing firearm injury epidemic that I have worked to define and implement a public health approach to this crisis. To clarify, this is how a public health approach works. First, we gather data on the problem. How common is it and who is affected? Second, we define risk and protective factors. What increases or decreases the chance of someone being hurt or dying? Third, we figure out programs that work to change those patterns, to avert injury, hospitalization, or death. And finally, we scale what works. America's total number of gun deaths is the highest on record, and our rate nears its peak. Firearm deaths have surpassed breast cancer deaths in America. Firearms are now the leading cause of death for American children age 1 through 19. Although mass shootings get the most media attention, 2/3 of firearm deaths are preventable suicides, averaged over the last decade, like that young man I cared for 15 years ago. I have story after story of public health collaborations between gun owners and non-gun owners, hospital workers and community violence interrupters, faith leaders and survivors. We have shown we can reduce the risk of a shooting long before someone picks up a gun with intent to harm. Through your bipartisan commitment to this public health approach, our country can reduce firearm injury and death for all.
Let me ask you this. In September of this year, our New Mexico governor issued a public health emergency order, and she suspended the right to bear arms in Albuquerque and the surrounding county. Do you support that?
I do not. What I do support is the work that New Mexico has done
do you
with.
support that?
No.
You don't? Okay. Let's see. During his first 2 years as the DA in Philadelphia, District Attorney Krasner dropped 47% of all the illegal firearms cases in the city. Do you agree with that?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm a physician and a public health professional. I can say that New Mexico has done amazing work in trying to address the suicide and partner violence.
I'm asking about Philadelphia.
I don't have an
The
opinion.
DA dropped 47% of all the illegal firearms cases. Did he do the right thing there?
I don't have an opinion. However, I will say that just as with fentanyl, the spread of illicit
I'm
substances.
sorry to cut you off, but I'm
That's
running
okay.
out of time.
Understood.
The LA District Attorney, George Gascon, said that he would not prosecute any sentencing enhancements for guns or gang-related activity. Do you think he did the right thing?
Again, I am neither a lawyer nor a prosecutor.
You don't have an opinion on that?
I honestly don't know enough about it to have an opinion.
You don't think gangs should be prosecuted for having illegal guns?
I'm neither a lawyer nor a prosecutor, and that's not my area of research.
But yet you want to take guns away.
I've never said that I want to take guns
from
away.
law-abiding citizens.
I think that you are saying something that I've not said in my written or oral testimony, sir.
Okay. You equated gun deaths to heart disease in your opening statement.
Yes, sir.
Which is a greater public health problem, gun deaths or heart disease?
So heart disease does kill more folks across the United States, largely in the end of their life.
About 700,000? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gun deaths about 50,000?
Correct.
Do you support outlawing fried foods?
I'm sorry. How does that relate to?
Because fried foods contribute to heart disease, don't they?
Again, I have not written or said that I support outlawing.
You're a physician, right?
I am. Have I said that I support outlawing anything in my testimony today?
Okay.
The silence that follows a John Kennedy takedown is deafening. It's the sound of a system that has no answers because it has been caught red-handed. We've watched high-ranking officials spend your hard-earned tax dollars like drunk sailors, and we've watched them try to lie their way out of it today. But as Kennedy proved, the truth is a weapon they aren't prepared for. When he says, "I don't believe you," he isn't just speaking for himself. He is speaking for every American who is tired of the word salad and the industrial strength stupidity coming out of Washington, D.C. This hearing marks a turning point. The curtain has been pulled back, and the light is finally hitting the shadows. They can try to delete the tapes, they can try to suppress the truth, and they can try to bury these videos in the algorithm. But they cannot stop the fact that the receipts are now in the public record. Every time Kennedy exposes a bribe, a waste of money, or a blatant lie, the foundation of the deep state cracks just a little bit more. The game isn't just changing, the game is officially over. Washington wants you to go back to sleep. They want you to forget what you just saw, but I'm asking you to do the opposite. I want you to go down to the comments right now and type the word savage if you stand with Senator Kennedy. We are reading every single comment to show the algorithm that this truth must go viral. If you think Kennedy is a hero, smash that like button and share this video with one person who still thinks DC is on our side. Subscribe right now to join the movement, because we are the only ones bringing you the uncut truth they want to hide. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's finally over. We'll see you in the next one.